Would you be willing to share specifically a time when racism hindered you from something?
I've never personally experienced something that has stopped me from moving up in life or stopped me from getting a job or anything like that. I've never experienced that, but I've experienced racism or racial profiling. I have experienced that.
Would you be willing to share that experience?
Oh yes. It's been numerous occasions, but one that's vivid and that sticks with me is because I was in high school. Um Me and a group of friends, we had just left basketball practice. We had another friend pick us up from the high school or whatever. And it was three of us that played on the team. We had another friend that came and picked us up as we're leaving. We do our regular routine. We just go to the local McDonald's, go up there, eat, chill out or whatever. And then, this one friend, he'll drop us all off home. Well, we go to McDonald's. And then we leave in the McDonald's to drop off our first friend. We're in Fernandina. And before we could even get like 2 blocks up the road, a police whips out behind us, pulls us over. At the time, we're young, naive, not not even knowledgeable of our our rights or anything like that. So um we thinking it's just a basic routine traffic stop or whatever. Police pulls up. He comes to my friend's window, asks him for his license or whatever, gives him the license back. Guy comes back, said that he smelled marijuana. And of course that was just an deceptive tactic he used just to get us out the car and search the car. So of course they pulled us all out of the car. No rights were read. No, it was no probable cause or anything. So they pulled all of us out the car, put us all in handcuffs, got us sitting in the ditch for an hour and a half. They ripped my friend's car up all apart. Ripped the middle console, ripped his back seat off, like just destroyed his car looking for marijuana. Of course, they didn't find anything. So after the whole ordeal, they just let us go. But that situation happened to us 2 or 3 times, but it's not realizing that, hey, like we're being racially profiled. Like they see a group of black guys in the car, they assume something is going on, so they just pull us over. Again, put all of us in handcuffs. They sit us in a ditch. The situation that I'm speaking on, if it wasn't for our high school coach riding by, seeing us sitting in a ditch, like who knows what would have happened.
That's so crazy. It's I know it happens, but it's still kind of baffling that it happens. And and then your friends left to pay for all the damages to his car because they're not going to do anything. Like even though they were in the wrong, they should have paid for it being in the wrong. It should have never happened. But yeah, that
And what's bad is if he pulled him over for a trap, I don't even think my friend even got like no traffic violation ticket or anything. Like we knew like immediately like what he was looking for and whatever. So even after the whole search of the car and ripping up his car, they just the only reason I felt like it went in our favor is because again our basketball coach like seen us on the side of the road in handcuffs, and he like whipped around and came up there and like, you know, just to check and see what's going on. And eventually they just, you know, they just let us go.
I appreciate you sharing those. That's I don't know. I hopefully we'll get to a point where that's not the case and that's not happening. I like you were saying earlier, we're a long way from it, I think, but it sucks to know it happens.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have numerous friends like that. That I mean, it's sad to say, but it's just it gets to a point where like it's normalized in a sense. Like it's I like all of my friends have experienced this, so it's like it's nothing new.
That's probably the most heartbreaking too, is that it happens so often that you're just like, okay, this is standard.
Right.
And
Right.
that's heartbreaking.
It's and it's not to and it's not to say that as far as it's like we're seeking for sympathy or anything, but it's just when black people speak about the black experience, man, like it's real. Like it's real. Like you don't we don't have to make this up at all.
Yeah. I'm not. I don't want. You're saying not for the sympathy. I'm not trying to come across that way. I think for me, like I'm very empathetic in the fact that I can almost put myself in that shoe and understand the emotions that would go through something like that almost. And so I think like that's why I say that's the heartbreaking part of it, is to know that this is something that goes on a daily basis. And like, that you've got that, and then the same thing that happened to George Floyd, and we're seeing it happen constantly so much. And then you go back to, well, this is all being recorded at this point. Like, how much worse has it been before we got to the technology to record everyday
Right.
situations?
We just imagine what wasn't recorded, you know, like in a lot of cases. I mean, to be in 2020 and to think that a basic traffic stop can escalate to possibly your life being taken, man, is crazy.
Yeah. Do you have a sense of fear every time you leave the house? And if you do, what causes that for you personally?
Personally, I don't have a fear of leaving outside of my door. Like I'm a spiritual being. Like I mean, every day it is a chance that you can encounter a situation like that, but I don't think it's healthy to go about life living like that. Just the fear of me possibly running into a police officer that's having a bad day or anything like that. For the most part, um, I'm respectful, um, and I feel like that takes you a long way with police officers too. Like my all of my encounters haven't been like that with police officers. Um, so when I each day, man, I don't have fearful thoughts of anything happening like that. I mean, I know I'm subject to it happening, but all I can do is control my own emotions and just leave everything else up to the man above, really.
Okay. The next question is you kind of answered it with the question earlier when we talked about the racism hindering you. Would you be willing to talk about a specific encounter you had with law enforcement that ended badly? And you talked about those, the being pulled over. Um, So I don't know. I don't have any other way to word that. So we'll go on to the next one. What does defunding the police mean to you? Do you agree with it? What are the kind of changes you'd like to see happen?
I believe there are pros and cons to defunding the police. I do believe policemen are essential to our community. They play a vital role in keeping things safe. I don't want to discredit all police just because I've had a few bad experiences with some. So I feel like if they defund the police, the money that they're taking from the police departments, I would like to know how that money could be used to train the polices to maybe come up with more subtle tactics to apprehend um potential fugitives or whatever you would want to call them or whatever. But me personally, I would like to see that, or just find ways to where the police can somehow reach out to the communities that they patrol and build a relationship or a rapport with the community. And I feel like those relations can possibly build into something better, you know, and it can help in other aspects that a lot of neighborhoods are falling victim to.
I hear that spoken a lot is the police department getting out there and getting to know the people in the neighborhood. That 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 seems to be one of the big things that the black community is very about, and it goes back to when we talked about how much love the black community has, and you said takes a village to raise a kid or whatever, and the police department and the police who are patrolling your neighborhood should be a part of that family. So
Right.
yeah, that's one of the big things I always hear when I'm talking to the black community when it comes to the police department is them getting to know the community and to understand the people that are there.
Right. Having some kind of familiarity with the people that live in these communities. I mean, I feel like in a lot of cases, whether it's they're employing veterans that's coming out of the military or whatever the case may be, but I feel like the police that you decide to employ, maybe they need to be a familiar face, or maybe that, or at least of the same ethnicity, at least just to break some of those barriers, at least just to start the relations, and go from there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Um, what do you think the white community could do better to help end the systemic racism that exists?
Honestly, I think the only real way for white people to help with the cause is to educate themselves. Um, Being resourceful. If you do have black friends, I think the time now is to, just be mindful and open minded to change, and start having these discussions with your other white friends, Like, I talk to my white friends, and in a sense, I can see them get comfortable, but I don't. I have a way of talking with people and not just throwing it down their throats as far as what they can be really receptive to. I just try and be more informative and try and educate them on 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 the history, because I feel like it has a lot to do with what we were all taught in high school, the curriculum, and all these different things, just about the history. So it really is just educating themselves and being open minded.
Yeah, definitely education. It's shocking sometimes to when you start diving into the history how much of the black community's history has just been kind of hidden or
Oh,
ignored, or because it's such a deep rich history, on the things that they've suffered, but on two the things that they've invented and created. And
yes, the contributions,
Mhm,
yes, like, yeah.
definitely. Well, that is the last question I have written out. Is there a topic or anything that you would like to talk about, or any kind of message you would like to kind of tack on to what we've talked about?
Nothing other than Black Lives Matter, man.
Yes, sir. Well, again, I really, really appreciate you for taking the time to sit down with me and to kind of chat. I understand where the hesitancy was.
I
You know, I
appreciate you, and the work that you're doing, man. I just want to just thank you for being a part of the cause, and just you know educating others, and trying to bring about change, man.
Yeah, it's not much. I have a very small channel, but I want to do what I can, and the reason being is I grew up with the family that was like there are people in my family I no longer speak to because they're racist, and I'm like, how can you be like that? Like, I never, how can you be like that and go to church, or how can you be like that and be consider yourself human? So it's to see it. I've seen it from this side when it's directed at the black community, and I'm like, I've met I have black friends who are more amazing and are more like family to me than some of my family is. And so to see some of the stuff that that your community goes through, it's just
And it's
like,
and in that same sense, it's crazy that you say that, because I have white friends that arguably, man, I consider them family. Like, I know I know their whole family. Like, we eat together, holidays, everything. So, you know, I know my friend Rustin, he feels the same way that you feel about this issue. Is just a lot of times, you know, with a situation so sticky, he don't know how to articulate himself in a way that he, it won't come off as if he's rubbing anybody the wrong way. Like, I think in most cases, white people, they don't agree with what's going on right now, but to not offend anyone, they rather not say anything. You know what I'm saying? So that can be a problem, but at the same time, like, is just one day at a time. If I could just feed them a little information, just, you know what I'm saying? I know it's hard, but I'm just educating them little by little, and then eventually, I feel like it'll resonate.
yeah. And I think that you nailed it when you said one day at a time. And that's kind of the way we have to take this. It's just one
Yep,
day at a time.
yep, absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening. This is the end of this particular interview questions. And again, thank you to my guest who was able to do this. It was amazing to sit down and talk with you and to hear your side of these questions. There are more of these in the works. I hope you guys are really enjoying these and you're learning a lot and you're kind of seeing the perspective from the other side. I'm enjoying them thoroughly. It's great to be able to get out there and talk to the Black community, you know, as a white guy, and hearing their stories and the things that they go through that aren't at the forefront. And it's also given me that drive to reach out and learn a little bit more of their history that isn't in the textbooks that I had growing up. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. We love you guys. Till tomorrow.